The afternoon light slanted through the dormitory window, painting a long, lazy rectangle across the worn carpet. Leo could feel the weight of a stare before he even turned from his desk. There it was again. Jonah was perched on the edge of his own bed, his gaze fixed on the window, his profile soft in the golden haze. Outside, the sky over the campus was a clear, endless blue, dotted with puffy cumulus clouds drifting past the old brick library. Jonah's eyes tracked one, his expression turning thoughtful. "It's a perfect day," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper, yet it carried perfectly in the quiet room. He finally turned, a slow, deliberate movement, and Leo felt his own breath catch. Jonah's eyes, a shade of hazel that seemed to hold the sunlight itself, were suddenly on him. A small, hopeful smile touched his lips. "Do you think you could like me on a day like this, honey?" Leo's fingers tightened around his pen. He managed a noncommittal grunt, focusing intensely on the economics textbook open before him. The familiar, awkward heat crept up the back of his neck. He wished, not for the first time, that the floor would just open up. Later, in the communal kitchen of their dorm suite, Jonah was humming while washing a bowl. Leo stood stiffly by the sink, rinsing a glass. The silence felt heavier than it should. "It's supposed to rain tonight," Jonah said conversationally, without looking up. His tone was light, but Leo sensed the unspoken question hanging in the air, the one that always followed the weather report. He braced himself. It didn't come. Jonah just dried his hands and walked back to his room, the usual playful lilt absent from his step. A strange, hollow feeling settled in Leo's chest. He realized, with a jolt, that the absence of the question was somehow worse than the question itself. Jonah had moved in at the start of the semester. Leo's previous roommate had been expelled after a series of incidents involving harassment, leaving the double room conspicuously empty. No one else wanted to move in, whispers of discomfort trailing after the space. Leo hadn't minded. Having the room to himself was a quiet luxury he'd grown accustomed to. Then, 2 months ago, the door had opened to reveal a young man with a duffel bag slung over his shoulder and a smile that seemed too bright for the dim hallway. "Hi, you must be Leo."
I'm Jonah.
"Everyone calls me Jay." He'd extended a hand, his grip warm and firm. "Leo," he'd replied, his own voice sounding flat in comparison. "Just Leo." Jonah's head had tilted, his smile never wavering. "Can I call you Lily?" Leo had felt his face freeze. He'd simply muttered a terse whatever, and turned back to his computer screen, leaving Jonah standing there. He'd heard the soft thump of the duffel bag hitting the floor, followed by the sound of careful unpacking. A pang of regret had twisted in his gut. It wasn't the kid's fault. The old nickname, a clumsy, childhood thing his mother had once used mockingly, was a relic he hated. He should have explained. Before he could find the words, Jonah had appeared at his elbow, holding out a bottle of iced tea. "I'm sorry, Leo," Jonah had said, his voice small. Leo had looked up to see his eyes shining with unshed tears. "I thought about it. You didn't like that name. I won't use it." The apology, so earnest and misplaced, had made Leo feel even worse. "It's fine," Leo had managed, taking the drink. "My issue, not yours." The smile had returned, tentative but real. "Can I just call you Leo, then?" That night, Jonah, clearly a restless sleeper, had called across the dark room. "Leo? What kind of person do you usually like?" The question had come out of nowhere. Leo had stared at the ceiling, the textured plaster suddenly fascinating. He honestly didn't know. He'd never really allowed himself to consider it. "I'm not sure," he'd finally admitted. A rustle of sheets. "What do you think of me?" The air in the room had shifted. Leo had fumbled for a response, his mind blank. "Sorry," Jonah had quickly added, though his voice held a teasing note. "I mean, what's your impression of me? As a person? You're nice. And your old roommate? I heard he got kicked out for harassing guys. Did he ever bother you?" Leo had considered this. The guy had been all bluster and bad attitude. He wasn't great, but he knew better than to try anything with me. He'd heard Jonah sit up abruptly. He actually tried? That's infuriating. There was a genuine heat in his voice. Someone like you shouldn't have to deal with that. I should protect you. A soft laugh had escaped Leo before he could stop it. He'd glanced over at the silhouette of Jonah's slender frame. You're laughing, Jonah had accused, but he sounded amused. I'm serious. How about, I be your boyfriend? That'd scare anyone off. The laugh had died in Leo's throat. The casual tone had evaporated. I'm a guy. How would that work? Guys can be boyfriends, Jonah had said simply, his voice clear in the darkness. Or you could be mine. The silence that followed was profound. Leo's mind raced, tripping over possibilities. Was this a joke that had gone too far or something else entirely? He'd opened his mouth, then closed it, fearing the presumptuousness of asking. Yes, Jonah's voice came, soft but unwavering. I like you, Leo. Was it that obvious? Even in the dark, Leo could picture the smile, the slight nervous flutter of his eyelashes. Leo had turned his face back to the ceiling. A little, he'd conceded. The attention had been so intense, so singular, it had felt like a spotlight. And, does it bother you? He'd thought of the way Jonah's fingers were probably worrying the edge of his blanket, of the hopeful expectation he knew would be shining in those hazel eyes. I don't know. He'd heard the faint, disappointed intake of breath. I don't dislike it, Leo had added quickly. The energy in the room had shifted again, charged with a new kind of hope. Can I try to win you over? Then? Leo hadn't known how to say no. His silence was taken as assent. Yes. The whispered celebration was followed by the sound of Jonah pulling his comforter over his head. A muffled, I'm so happy, drifting across the room. From then on, Jonah was a constant presence. He brought Leo coffee from the campus Starbucks, saved him a seat in the huge introductory lecture halls, and once, to Leo's profound embarrassment, had quietly gathered his laundry from the hamper. And then, there was the new name. It had started a week ago. Jonah had been glued to his phone, watching something with fierce concentration. Leo had emerged from the shower, a towel around his waist, droplets still clinging to his skin. Your turn for the shower, Jay, he'd said, running a hand through his damp hair. Jonah had jumped, eyes wide. Oh, okay, sweetheart. They'd both frozen. The word hung in the steam-filled air. Leo felt a flush spread from his chest to his ears. Had he heard that right? A slow, cat-like smile had spread across Jonah's face. His eyes had flickered, just for a second, to the towel. He'd murmured more to himself. Maybe there's something to it. To what? Nothing. Jonah had sung, hopping up. I'm gonna shower. Sweetheart. He'd left his phone on the desk, screen still glowing. Leo, driven by a curiosity he couldn't name, had walked over. The notification at the top of the screen was a text from someone named Chris. But the contact name pinned above it was his own. The word beside it wasn't Leo. It was sweetheart. He'd put the phone down as if it were hot, the single word echoing in his mind, burning its way into a place he usually kept locked. When Jonah returned, smelling of soap and mint, his eyes were clear and bright, glowing with a private joy. Leo had watched him, the question lodged in his throat. What is it, sweetheart? Jonah had asked, tilting his head. You keep looking at me. Is there toothpaste on my face? No, Leo had stammered. He took a breath. Why do you call me that? It's unexpected. Jonah had wheeled his desk chair over, the casters rumbling on the floor. His smile faltered, his lower lip jutting out in a pout. His eyes grew suspiciously shiny. But, Leo, you know I've never had a sweetheart before. Leo had been utterly disarmed. There was no logical rebuttal. That night, a spring storm rolled in with a vengeance. Leo lay in bed, the blankets pulled taut over his head, trying to recite the periodic table to drown out the cannon fire booms of thunder. Each flash of lightning felt like a physical blow, a remnant of a childhood spent in a room too quiet and too dark, where loud noises meant tension, meant walking on eggshells. He squeezed his eyes shut, chanting internally that it was just air pressure, just electricity. A soft voice cut through the chaos. "Leo?" He peered out. Jonah stood by his bed, a silhouette in the intermittent flashes. "I'm really scared of storms," he whispered, his voice trembling with a convincingly fearful note. Can I stay here? Please?" In the strobing light, his eyes looked deep and liquid. Leo found himself scooting over before he'd consciously decided, lifting the comforter. Jonah slid in immediately, his body a line of warmth against Leo's side. He tucked his head against Leo's shoulder, his hair soft and smelling of chamomile. "Thank you," he sighed, the word a warm puff against Leo's neck. "You're the best." The bed was narrow. Jonah shifted, his leg brushing against Leo's. A spectacular crash of thunder made Leo flinch violently. He tried to subtly shift away, to hide the reaction, but Jonah simply followed, curling into him, tucking his head under Leo's chin. So loud, he murmured, his hand coming to rest on Leo's chest. "Hold me? It helps." Leo's arm, which had been lying stiffly at his side, slowly came up to curve around Jonah's back. He could feel the knobs of his spine through the thin cotton of his t-shirt. Jonah let out a contented sigh and, in one smooth motion, brought his hands up to gently cover Leo's ears. The world muted to a dull rumble. "Is that better?" Jonah's voice was muffled but close. "What?" Leo asked, the word vibrating in his own skull. He felt more than saw the smile. Then, a soft press of lips against the hinge of his jaw. "With you here," Jonah whispered directly into his skin, "I'm not scared at all." For the first time in his life, Leo slept soundly through a thunderstorm. He woke to golden morning light and the sensation of limbs tangled with his own. Jonah was nestled against him, having migrated in the night, his cheek pressed to Leo's now exposed collarbone. One of the buttons on Leo's pajama top had come undone. Leo carefully extricated himself, a strange, tender warmth spreading through him. It was a Saturday, and he had a shift at the off-campus bookstore. As he dressed, he caught sight of the small, faint mark near his collarbone. A flush rose to his cheeks. The whole situation felt like it was tilting into uncharted territory. He bought 2 bagels and a coffee on his way back, leaving Jonah's on the desk before heading out. Just as he was unlocking his bike, his phone chimed. I woke up and my sweetheart was gone. Leo's thumb hovered over the screen. "At work. You know I have the morning shift. You should still tell me. It's called checking in, sweetheart. Makes me feel secure." He shook his head, a faint smile touching his lips. "Okay. I'm at the Book Nook. Back by noon. Want a muffin? I get a discount." Yes. Blueberry. You're the best, babe. Love you, babe." The new variation sent a fresh, inexplicable thrill through him. He found the shift dragged interminably, his attention constantly drifting to the clock. "Can I help you find something?" he asked a customer, his voice on autopilot. "I'm looking for a Sweetheart brand blueberry muffin." Leo looked up. Jonah was leaning against the biography shelf, grinning. "What are you doing here?" "I'm almost done. Picking up my sweetheart from work," Jonah said, his eyes crinkling, "and collecting my promised muffin." Before Leo could respond, his coworker, Maya, appeared. "Hey, Leo, no loitering." Her tone was joking until she saw Jonah. Her entire demeanor softened. "Oh, can I help you?" Jonah turned the full force of his smile on her. "Just picking up a blueberry muffin. Thanks. And maybe a coffee?" "Of course. Let me get that for you." "On the house," Maya chirped, already heading for the pastry case. "Wow, you're amazing," Jonah said, following her. Leo watched, a strange tightness forming in his chest as they chatted easily. He busied himself straightening a stack of journals. After Jonah left with his muffin and a free brownie Maya had added, she sidled up to Leo. Okay, I forgive you for slacking. Who was that? Oh my God. He is adorable. I'm in love. You think he's cute? Leo asked, the words out before he could stop them. Yeah? He's a literal angel. Leo, please, you have to introduce me. I've been wanting to meet someone sweet like that forever. I feel like my soulmate just walked in. A cold knot formed in Leo's stomach. He shook his head, his voice firmer than he intended. He wouldn't be interested. He likes me. Maya's eyes widened comically behind her glasses. Then her expression shifted to one of pure delight. Shut. You're kidding. That's amazing. Who says this job is boring? It's not like that, Leo insisted, though the memory of shared warmth and a whispered sweetheart argued otherwise. We're just friends. He likes me, Maya quoted, raising an eyebrow. And you like him too, right? Leo ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. It's not two guys, it's different. It's probably not. He trailed off, the logic that usually guided him failing. Maya's gaze flickered over his shoulder, her eyes going wide with a sudden, frantic signaling. She started blinking rapidly. A cold dread washed over Leo. He turned. Jonah was standing a few feet away, holding his to-go cup. The cheerful light was gone from his eyes, replaced by something wounded and still. He looked at Leo for a long second, his mouth a tight line. Then, without a word, he turned and walked out of the store. Leo's heart lurched. He yanked off his apron. Maya, I have to go, she urged. He burst onto the sidewalk, but the bustling street was empty of Jonah. He called his phone. It went straight to voicemail. A sickening sense of panic, unfamiliar and acute, bloomed inside him. The sunny afternoon felt oppressive, the clear sky a mocking contrast to the storm now raging in his chest. He went back to the dorm. It was empty, Jonah's things neatly in place but feeling abandoned. Texts went unanswered. After a frantic hour, he remembered a name from Jonah's phone. Chris. It took some digging through old campus directories, but he found a number. Hello? A wary voice answered. Chris. This is Leo, Jonah's roommate. I can't find him. Is he with you? A pause. He's not with you? He texted me like 20 minutes ago. Another longer pause. What's going on? Did something happen? Under pressure, Leo haltingly recounted the conversation in the bookstore. He heard an exasperated sigh. You two are a mess. Look, he went through a whole thing to get assigned to your room, you know that? Talked to the housing director, made up some story about it being quieter for his studies. He was determined. Leo felt the air leave his lungs. It hadn't been random chance. And if you don't feel the same way, you need to just say it. Stop leading him on. He's sincere. He'll believe whatever you do or don't say. I'm not leading him on, Leo protested weakly. Aren't you? You know how he feels. If you don't reciprocate, why let it go on? Why accept all his everything? The question echoed in the hollow space where Leo's certainty used to be. Why hadn't he stopped it? A familiar, internal cacophony began. His mother's sharp voice insisting that to be good, to be normal, one must be accommodating, must never reject kindness, must be self-reliant yet endlessly helpful. Perfect, lovable statue. He'd been diagnosed as a child with a processing delay, a fact his mother had rejected with ferocious determination. He was to be brilliant, compassionate, and strong. He was to be nothing like the father who had left, a charming opportunist. Failure in any category meant isolation, meant copying lines in a room with a single high window. Love was a transactional myth. She'd never had it, so he would not need it either. But Jonah spoke of love freely, like it was as simple as breathing. What did he see? A carefully constructed facade of competence? A hollow shell going through the motions of kindness? A solitude mistaken for strength? He was still sitting there, lost in the maze of his own thoughts, when the door finally opened. Jonah walked in. He didn't look at Leo. "You're back," Leo said, the words sounding pathetic. The monosyllable was a knife. Leo scrambled to organize the jumble in his head. "Leo." Jonah's voice was flat. "Yeah." He finally turned. His expression was weary. "I submitted the room transfer form. I'll be out by the end of the week." "Why?" The question was out, desperate. Jonah gave a short, humorless laugh. "Why stay? To moon over someone who doesn't feel the same? It's exhausting." Leo had no rebuttal. The silence stretched, taut and painful. "You're impossible," Jonah said quietly, a world of frustration in the words. "I really can't stand you right now." He left again, closing the door with a soft, final click. The next few days were a gray blur. Jonah was a ghost, present only in the faint scent of his shampoo lingering in the bathroom. Then, at a fraternity party Leo had been dragged to by a project partner, he saw him. Jonah was across the room, laughing at something a guy from the debate team was saying. He was surrounded, animated, glowing in a way Leo had selfishly come to think belonged only to their shared space. A sharp, acidic jealousy coiled in his gut. The party moved to a game, truth or dare. The first spin landed on Jonah. Truth. And Leo, by some cruel twist, was picked to ask. His mouth was dry. "Is there someone here you have feelings for?" Jonah's eyes found his across the circle. He took a deliberate sip from his cup, a slow smile playing on his lips. It didn't reach his eyes. "There is." Leo's heart plummeted. "Who?" He blurted out. Jonah's smile turned feline. "That's a second question." The word Leo was conspicuously absent. He'd used man instead, a formal, distancing term. Leo turned away, taking a large swallow of cheap beer, the burn doing nothing to cauterize the wound. Later, the bottle landed on Leo. "Dare." The challenge. Plant a kiss on someone of his choice. A few people chuckled nervously, knowing his reserved nature. A friend started to pour him a penalty shot. Leo ignored the glass. He stood, his movements feeling both heavy and weightless, and walked straight to where Jonah sat on the arm of a sofa. He stopped in front of him, a silent question in his eyes. Jonah looked up, his expression unreadable, a misty ambiguity where there was usually sparkling clarity. Leo closed his eyes and leaned in. A hand pressed firmly against his chest. Jonah shoved him back gently but firmly, his own cheeks flushing. He grabbed a random drink from the table and downed it. "I forfeit," he said, not meeting Leo's gaze. "I'll take the drink." Rejected. The meaning was clear. The person Jonah liked was here, and it wasn't him. For the rest of the night, Leo watched him, analyzing every interaction, every smile Jonah gave to someone else, each one feeling like a personal theft. He returned to the silent dorm alone. The emptiness was a physical presence now. He had just lain down when a frantic knocking startled him. He opened the door to find Chris, struggling to support a very drunk Jonah. He insisted on coming back here. Chris grumbled, shuffling inside. "Can you?" Leo scooped Jonah up effortlessly. He was so light. He laid him on the bed as Chris sighed with relief. "He's all yours. Don't let him choke." Once alone, Leo sat on the edge of the bed. Jonah's face was flushed, his brow furrowed as if even in sleep he was upset. Was it over the person from the party? "Jay," Leo whispered, helping him sit up to sip some water. "Come on, drink a little." Jonah's eyes fluttered open. They focused on Leo, blinked slowly, then recognition dawned, followed by a scowl. He turned his head away. "No, don't want it. It's just water. I know who you are. You're Leo. Don't want anything from Leo." He was slurring but vehement. "Leo's the worst." In a petulant swipe, he knocked the glass from Leo's hand, sending water soaking into the comforter. Leo sighed, a deep ache settling in his bones. He wasn't even man anymore. He was just the worst. He managed to get Jonah into a dry pair of sweats and his own bed, sliding in beside him to keep him from rolling out. Jonah, in his sleep, seemed to forget his declaration. Within minutes he had migrated across the mattress, draping himself over Leo like a human blanket. The fall air was cool, but where Jonah touched him, Leo burned. A soft mumble vibrated against his neck. "Sweetheart," Leo's heart stuttered. Had he imagined it? Gently he cupped Jonah's face, tilting it up. "Jay, what did you say?" Hazel eyes, glassy with sleep and alcohol, peered up at him. "Sweetheart." His gaze drifted down, then back up, a mischievous glint breaking through the haze. "You're poking me." Heat flooded Leo's face. "Sorry, I should go," but Jonah shifted, straddling him, his weight pinning Leo down. His expression was suddenly serious, a little blurry but intent. "You wanted to kiss me earlier." I didn't." Jonah pressed a finger to Leo's lips. "Stop lying. You get one chance. Take it or leave it." All the overthinking, all the rules, all the echoes of his mother's voice evaporated. Leo's hands came up to grip Jonah's hips. He pulled him down and closed the distance. The kiss tasted of sugar and faintly of rum. Jonah responded immediately, a soft sound escaping him as his fingers tangled in Leo's hair. It was a spark in dry tinder, a feeling so profound and electric it short-circuited every doubt. His heart hammered against his ribs, a wild, joyous drumbeat he finally understood. The next morning, Leo woke first, Jonah a warm, solid weight on his chest. He had to work again. He pressed a feather-light kiss to Jonah's forehead, left a note on the nightstand, and texted him. A sense of déjà vu washing over him. This was the checking in Jonah had always wanted. The shift was interminable. He checked his phone constantly. No reply. Maya noticed his distraction. Earth to Leo. "You okay?" "Fine. Sure." "You keep looking at your phone like it's going to propose." "Waiting for someone?" He nodded. "Your angel from before? Did you guys make up?" He shook his head. Maya groaned. "Of course not. Because you, Leo, have a talent for saying the exact wrong thing. I was trying to get you to say you liked him back that day, for fun, to see you blush. And what do? You drop the 'I don't like guys' bomb right as he walks in. No wonder he's upset." "I never said I didn't like guys," Leo said, confused. "You said it wasn't the same, it probably wasn't real. What's that, if not a no thanks?" She studied him. "Do you even know what liking someone feels like?" Leo looked at her, utterly earnest. I think my brain might be wired a little differently." Maya's exasperation melted into something like pity, then understanding. "Okay. Basics. You feel messed up when they're sad. You look for them in a room first. Your day gets better just seeing them. You look at them and..." She gestured vaguely at her own face. "Your eyes do a thing. They get all sparkly. Like his did when he looked at you. Before you broke his heart, A dam broke inside Leo. The searing jealousy at the party. The hollow panic when Jonah left the bookstore. The way his world had subtly reoriented itself around Jonah's presence since the day he arrived. The light. He'd been standing in Jonah's light all along, mistaking its warmth for something else. "I have to go," he said, already untying his apron. He took a taxi back, heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. He burst into the dorm room. Jonah was there. He was folding a sweatshirt, placing it in a half-packed suitcase.
No, Leo, breathe.
He set down the paper bag from the bakery he'd run to first. "Please, stop." He reached for Jonah's hands, stilling them.
I'm sorry.
"I was wrong. Last time and just now and all the times before. I didn't understand what I was feeling." Jonah pulled his hands back, his expression guarded, and resumed packing. Jonah, please don't go. I do like you. I didn't know what it was supposed to feel like. What do you even see in me?"
I'm sorry.
"I'm so slow with these things." He remembered an article he'd skimmed about reconciliation. He leaned forward, awkwardly resting his forehead against Jonah's shoulder. his body trembling with the adrenaline of confession. "Please, I need you." He heard a soft sigh. Jonah's hands came up, not to push him away, but to grasp his arms. "I don't believe you," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. "You said you didn't know what liking someone was. How do I know this isn't just guilt?" "It's not." Leo took Jonah's hand and pressed it firmly over his own heart, which was hammering a frantic, staccato rhythm. "Feel that? It's for you." Jonah's eyes widened, a blush creeping up his neck. "Idiot. Of course it's beating. It has to." "No," Leo insisted, holding his gaze. "It beats like this for you. It's fast because of you. Who taught you to say things like that?" Jonah whispered, his defenses visibly crumbling. "No one," Leo said, and it was the truth. The words were clumsy, unearthed from a place in him that only Jonah had ever reached. "It only happens with you." The 3-month probation Jonah imposed was agonizing and transformative. Leo learned to bring him coffee in bed, to text him before leaving the library, to say "I missed you today" without his face catching fire. He learned to call him "my love" and to ask, shyly, if he might hear "sweetheart" again, just once. Jonah remained steadfast, a smile playing on his lips but the coveted word never crossing them. One afternoon, after a pickup basketball game, a friend wiped his brow. "Going for Gatorade, Lee? You coming?" Leo was already scanning the bleachers. He found him instantly, a spot of brightness in the crowd. A wide, effortless grin spread across Leo's face. "Nah, my love is bringing me one." His friend shoved him playfully. "You're hopeless. You know, when he was following you around calling you pet names, we all thought you were a couple. Now you tell us you're still trying to win him over? You're a piece of work." He clapped Leo on the back. "But seriously, man, you're different. In a good way. You used to be so closed off. Now you actually seem happy." Leo shrugged, his eyes still on Jonah, who was making his way down the steps with 2 bottles of water. "He's the sun," he said simply, the poetry of it surprising even him. The probation ended on a crisp autumn day. They'd both been invited back to their old high school for an alumni speaking event. Walking the familiar halls afterward, hand in hand, Leo pointed out his old haunts, the chem lab where he'd spent lonely hours, the bleachers where he'd eaten lunch alone. He led Jonah to a secluded oak tree at the edge of the athletic fields, its roots cradling a smooth, flat stone. "This was my spot," he admitted. "The other guys would be playing ball out there. My mom thought sports were a distraction. I'd just watch from here until college." Jonah listened, his expression rapt. "It's not boring," he said softly. "It's brave. To find your own quiet in the middle of all that noise." He let go of Leo's hand and walked over, settling onto the stone. He looked out at the empty field, not with longing, but with a quiet intensity. He turned, his voice clear across the distance. "What do you see when you look at me now?" Leo's throat tightened. The image of a lonely boy superimposed itself over Jonah's confident posture. "Someone wonderful," he called back, his voice thick. Jonah stood and walked back to him, taking his hands. "A wonderful idiot," he corrected gently. It was that wonderful idiot, sitting right there, pretending to watch a game but really just watching one specific clueless boy, that made me notice him. I followed that look all the way to college. The dam behind Leo's eyes broke. Tears, unfamiliar and liberating, streamed down his face. "Wanna play now?" Jonah asked, nodding toward the empty court. "I'll rebound for you." Leo shook his head, pulling Jonah into a tight embrace. He pressed his lips to his ear. "I'd rather hear you call me sweetheart again. Just once." Because he had done it. Starting from the moment a cherished name had vanished, leaving a chilling silence, he had been gently, persistently led out of the perpetual overcast in his soul. He had walked, step by step, into a clearing where the sun shone brightly, held in the gaze of the boy who had loved him all along.